I'm going to go ahead and do the work for problem number 67 up here in this little section. And what this is asking us to find is all of the x values that would cause f of x to be less than or equal to g of x. Now, there are a couple different ways to do this. We could graph each of these functions, but this one would be a little bit tricky perhaps to graph, but maybe not so much. But really what we could do is do this algebraically. So let's go ahead and do that. F of x less than or equal to g of x. Well, f of x is defined to be 6x squared minus 5x. And then we have less than or equal to what g of x is defined to be 2x plus 3. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to solve this inequality algebraically. When we see an inequality like this, just like if this were an equal sign, so if that were an equal sign instead, we would have a quadratic equation. Here we have a quadratic inequality. The easiest kind of thing to do here is just to gather all the terms to one side. So we want to put this inequality in standard form. So we have 6x squared minus 7x. So negative 5x minus 2x is minus 7x. And then we have minus 3. And then we have less than or equal to. When these go away, we have 0 on the right side. So now we have what the type of inequality that we're kind of used to. So if we figure out where 6x squared minus 7x minus 3 is equal to 0, then by factoring we would find the x-intercepts for the function y equals 6x squared minus 7x minus 3. So we're going to try to figure out the solution to this inequality by finding the x-intercepts of the corresponding quadratic function. All right. So this is a little bit kind of the trickiest kind to factor, but you can check my work later. But the factors I would try first would be 3x and 2x, and then I have 3 and 1. So I'm going to put a 3 over here and a 1 over here. And then I notice that I need a negative there and a positive there, and that's how I would factor that polynomial. Now, again, you can check that and maybe pause the video to double check and make sure you understand why these are the factors. But I'm going to keep moving on because this is not a factoring lesson. This is a solving this inequality lesson. So we know how to solve by factoring, but maybe the factoring might be a little shaky, or maybe we need to brush up on that. But anyway, once we get the polynomial over here factored, then we set the factors equal to 0. And if we subtract 1 from both sides and divide both sides by 3, we get x equals negative 1/3. And over here, you can do the math. Add 3, divide by 2. We get x is equal to 3/2. So if we were to graph the function, we would get negative 1/3, and we'd get 3/2 as our two x-intercepts for the function. This function right here, y equals 6x squared minus 7x minus 3, because we're trying to figure out when that is less than or equal to 0. And since a is positive, we know the graph of the parabola opens up. We don't care how far down that vertex is. All we really want to know is when is it underneath, on or below. That's what that says, on or below the x-axis. Okay, on or below. And again, y equals 0 is the x-axis. Okay, so just refreshing your memory on that. And we can see that from the graph. We can see that it's on or below the x-axis from negative 1/3 all the way to 3/2. And that's it. That's how you solve problem number 67. I would say that's probably the trickiest of them all. All right, so let's see if we can do number 72 here in this same video. Maybe not. Let's wait.